welcome to Plot Twisters.
This is a podcast where we take movies and twist the plot to see if we can make them better, and if not, nerdier.
At the moment, we're talking about teen movies from the 90s.
On this episode, Rushmore from 1998.
I'm Anders, and I saved Latin. What did you ever do?
I'm Emma. I can write a hit play. Why can't I have a little drink to unwind myself?
You deserve it. Sit back, have a drink. Come on. It's fine.
It's fine. Now, Anders.
Hello.
At points during this podcast, you might find that I'm talking quite quickly because I'm quite excited about this movie. So I just want you to keep an eye on it, and you know, if I'm talking too fast, you can tell me to rush less. But if you think it's good and you like the pace,
yeah,
you could. It's okay if you want. You know, I can rush more.
I get it. It's that kind of podcast, you know.
Did you like that?
Yeah, I did. But of course, you know, this is an improv podcast, so forgive me if I keep Wes-anding you. Wes and.
I set us off running here, and you've just really let the balls rock.
Wes and that's life. Aquatic.
That joke was a bit more grand. Budapest Hotel.
I thought your joke was fantastic, Mr. Fox.
Mr. Fox.
Any more? Any more?
This episode really went off like a bottle rocket.
Kaboom. I think we've been at this restaurant long enough. Let me go get the bill, Murray. What portion of those jokes will I cut out in the edit? 100%?
100%.
Or 99?
Shall I give you a short recap of the movie Rushmore?
Oh yeah, please do.
Rushmore is a film about a young man, a boy. His name is Max Fisher. And Max Fisher likes to do a lot of activities. That's what we know about him. He loves to do activities. Specifically of those activities are extracurricular. He goes to Rushmore Preparatory School. Is that how you say that? Preparatory school?
I never heard the full word. I know it's a prep school.
No, I've read it and I've heard prep school. Preparatory?
It's probably proprietary because it's like a patent pending school.
Yeah, sure, fine. Prep school.
He goes to a fancy school.
He goes to a fancy school. He's involved in every club under the sun. We get a classic Wes montage. He loves his montage.
Loves it.
And we see all the different activities that he does. He does a lot of them, including beekeeping, which
yeah.
I hope you weren't too triggered by.
Oh, come on. Listen, he was wearing a mask, so it was fine. But, you know, I still felt uncomfortable.
Yes. He also loves to put on plays. He has put on a lot of plays using the other boys in the school, which is very funny. And essentially, because of all of his activities, he's not doing very well at school.
No.
In fact, he's failing. The headmaster of the school, who is Mr. Guggenheim, and I don't know about you, but when they first said Guggenheim, I hadn't clocked it. That was the name of a character. And they said something like, what does Guggenheim think about this? And I was like, why are you bringing the museum into this?
The museum doesn't think anything other than curves are cool, am I right?
Yeah.
And
exactly.
art is good.
Art is good, and I'm sure they don't care about you, Mr. Fisher. Anyway, he basically says, unless you sort things out, we're going to have to expel you because you're doing really badly. This is very upsetting to Mr. Fisher, who essentially... Well, as he says quite a few times, you know, Rushmore is his whole life. It's his whole thing, and he loves it. He also develops a crush on a teacher. Her name is Miss Cross. I think she was a first grade teacher.
Yeah.
Her students seemed
little,
pretty young. Yeah. And so she kind of humors him in this. They form a sort of intimate relationship in the sense of like they sort of get on and they understand each other and you know they describe each other as themselves as friends and that sort of thing. There's a few times where she says like I'm too old for you in this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it does go quite far.
Too far. He's 15.
Too far. Yeah.
Yeah.
We also have Bill Murray, because of course we do, because it's a Wes Anderson
Because
film.
it's a Wes Anderson movie, so Bill Murray's there.
He's gonna be there.
And others. We'll talk about them in a second. But
Yes.
he's there.
He's there. He's playing a guy called Herman Bloom, and he owns a factory. He's like a rich factory owner.
It's like it's like a metal. They do something with metal. It's a metal.
Something
He's
with
a metal guy.
He has lots of money. He's in a factory. His sons also go to the school, and there was quite a funny scene where they're in the car and they're like fighting and they're very rowdy, and he says something like, "I never imagined having kids like these," and that was quite funny. I like that. Then he essentially forms this friendship with Max Fisher because they meet and they sort of connect. And so there's these three characters that in the center of this, the teacher, Max, and this factory guy. The primary thing is kind of his romance with the teacher. Yeah. Right? Like that he really wants to be with her. And, he stops caring so much about the school. He does eventually get expelled from the school. He goes to a different school, which is Grover
Cleveland High School.
Yeah, Clover Cleveland. And he meets a bunch of new students, and essentially he then puts on a play at that school instead. Yeah. And he kind of finds out that Miss Cross... well, first of all, she meets him for dinner with Bill Murray, and Luke Wilson is there.
Because it's a Wes Anderson movie, so
gotta
Luke
have
Wilson.
Gotta have at least one Wilson in the film.
And there were two in this one. Did you notice there were two?
No.
We'll talk.
No, I didn't.
We'll finish this off. We'll talk about the Wilsons in a second.
Okay. So they all have dinner together, and Max essentially starts to get very jealous of Miss Cross's relationship. Well, she's on a date. She gets very jealous of the date. Yeah. She then starts developing feelings for Herman Bloom, Mr. Bloom. His relationship is failing with his wife, and he gets very interested in her. They start to connect. They go for a walk where they hold hands because that's
so nice.
It's the ultimate like quirky, pinnacle of a loving relationship. Yeah. Max has an ally. It's a kid called Dirk, which is a very American name, isn't it?
Yeah.
Dirk.
Yeah.
He spots these two people going for a walk. He then he goes to tell Max, but another student who has it in for Max says that he'd actually made quite a suggestive statement about Dirk's mother. Mm-hmm. So then Dirk gets annoyed. He tells Max about what's been going on. Max is very upset, but it kind of works out because he's already met this other student, Margaret Yang. She flies a plane around. It's very romantic.
Yeah, it's nice.
He starts kind of, going for her instead. And then he puts on a play about the Vietnam War.
Yeah. And Bill Murray, who was, quote, in the shit, weeps by the end of it. So as far as we're concerned, probably a pretty good play about Nam.
Yeah. And that's kind of it. It's a classic Wes film in which the character development is fairly low level. But it looks good.
Damn, it looks good, right?
Yeah.
Man, I like this movie so much, and I've always really liked this movie. I guess watching it for the podcast, a couple of things stuck out at me that I didn't really see the first time around. Do you want to hear what I noticed?
Do tell.
So, you get caught up in the Wes Anderson of it all. You're
like, you certainly do, yeah.
Oh, it's so symmetrical, and look at that antique phone that he just answered, from close up to slow and then quick, and everything about it is just, I feel like
delectable.
It's delectable. And if you're like me and have a penchant for secondhand stores and antique shops and a pseudo bohemian sort of aesthetic, there's this thing where you're like, God, everything in this movie was handpicked and has been worn with age and looks like effortlessly cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all of that's great. And that you get that with all of the movies. That's like a Wes Anderson thing.
Guarantee.
This is the guarantee, right? What I what I didn't catch until like watching it yesterday was like, all right, this movie's about two dudes who are infatuated with the same person, right? And there's a rivalry between two dudes because they both like this girl, right? And it's like,
Yes.
I think that's been done before for like tons of times. In fact, I bet that's like a Shakespeare thing or whatever, right? Or at the very least, an old-fashioned sort of story. And I hadn't really thought about that because I don't know, because I was a kid when I watched this and I just was focused on like how cool Max Fisher looked, sat on that little buggy in the intro for like, you know, him being on all the clubs. So that was one thing I noticed.
I think you're referring to the prolific usage of the love triangle.
The love triangle. Yeah, exactly. It's a flippin' love triangle, right?
It's a love triangle. Yeah.
What's another example of a love triangle in a movie? Can you think of one?
The first thing that came into my head was Twilight. But no, I'm standing by this. Twilight is literally 4 books of love triangle. Does she go for the werewolf or does she go for the vampire?
Yeah.
It's very common in I would say like teen stories. So Hunger Games, another big teen story, also has a love triangle in it. Divergent, another one that really similar genre, really likes that. That's the same.
Yeah.
I think you can find it like if you think about like Jane Austen, there's definitely some love triangle elements in basically all of like her stories about young women trying to be married off. It's because the thing is it's like if you have a love story and it's just like, are they going to get together? Yes.
Yeah.
That's not a very interesting love story. So you need some kind of obstacle, and a pretty common and easy obstacle is it's another potentially available person.
Yeah.
You know, so
exactly.
why not?
Exactly. Why not? Dude, you know what's another example of a love triangle?
What?
Like some of the movies we've already talked about. Reality Bites is a love triangle movie, if ever there was.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Two very different dudes who both are into Winona Ryder.
And it's like I suppose it's an interesting love story. First of all, because our protagonist is usually the one choosing between two people.
Yeah.
And in order for them to choose between two people, they have to have two people who are interested in them, which, you know, is a very nice.
Oh, is that nice? Oh, people are fighting over me. Oh,
wow, yeah.
Wow.
It's the everybody likes me problem, which is fun to
problem.
experience.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
fun to experience from the perspective of a protagonist, but it also means that you are playing the two people off against each other,
right?
And as a result, you're getting the protagonist to essentially choose what kind of life they want. Do they want to go with the sweaty greaseball who's going to, probably provide them with lots of fun and spark, but maybe can't take them to very nice restaurants?
Yeah.
Or do they want to go with the sensible person who's going to mean that they have a nice life?
Yeah.
But it's not as exciting, So there's a lot of extra context that you can put into a love triangle, certainly.
Yeah, totally. And I guess in this one, the protagonist, well, Rosemary wasn't the protagonist in this movie, right?
No, but we can say that it's from her perspective because she's the point of the triangle.
She is the point of she's where the 2 point. She's the middle of the triangle. Having said that, what I like about this love triangle is Max Fisher super wants to be friends with and connected with Herman, right?
Well, that's what makes it a triangle, because otherwise it's a line, isn't it?
No, you're right.
The triangle part, they have to have some kind of connection or like allegiance with each other. But that's what makes an interesting triangle is that you have this thing of like, I'm not just going to blindly pursue this person because I have some kind of allegiance to the other point of the triangle. That's why there's a conflict, because the classic one being like, oh, I can't date my best friend's love interest because they're my best friend.
Right,
so
right.
it's that sort of thing.
The other thing that I noticed about this movie, in addition to the aesthetic and the fact that it's a love triangle,
Mm-hmm.
there's like Wilsons left and right, because it's because it's a Wes Anderson movie.
Was the coach a Wilson?
Yes.
Yes!
yes.
Yes!
The
Yes!
yes. Ding ding ding. The Coach Beck, played by Andrew Wilson, the other Wilson, right?
The other Wilson.
But yes, there's Wilsons everywhere. This movie was co-written by Owen Wilson and Wes Anderson. They wrote it together.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Luke was there in his OR scrubs.
Oh, are they? Oh, are they there? Oh, are there Wilsons in this?
Oh, are there Wilsons in this movie?
You know who wrote that joke, the OR joke?
Who?
Luke Wilson.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh. I actually brought a book to class today.
Is it called Luke I Can?
It's called The Autobiography of Luke Wilson's Experience of Being in the Film Rushmore.
Very neat.
No, it's a screenwriting book, and it has interviews with directors in, and I found one which is Wes Anderson talking about Rushmore. And one of the things that he said was that, Luke Wilson wrote that joke.
That's
So.
cool.
Another thing they talk about in this book, which is quite interesting, was apparently at the time there was a lot of, I don't think criticism, but a lot of commentary about how people thought that Wes Anderson was writing Max Fisher to just be himself, and it was very autobiographical.
Interesting.
And he said it was in that he used to write a lot of plays, but other than that, they're not the same.
Yeah, and the fact that the high school that Wes Anderson went to was in fact the high school that they filmed this movie at. But other than that, just not
other
him.
than that,
not other than
and
that.
also that he was a kind of awkward, artistic, nerdy guy.
Yeah.
Who had to put on a bit of a front to hide his inner genius. But
other
other than that, not the
this
same.
movie's not about him. It's not
about
him.
him.
At all.
No. But also, and the fact that he really obviously liked a nice specific aesthetic and took a lot of care in his appearance and was always very well dressed.
But other than that, no, it's not about him at all.
No.
It's about a fictional Max Fisher. What did you like about this movie, Emma?
A couple of things. Number one, top of my list, was the Vietnam War play at the end of the film.
Okay.
I loved it. It was so good. It was so funny.
Yeah.
Particularly because he's buying dynamite and you think that he's going to do it.
Yeah,
he's going to use it to like get revenge on Mr. Bloom or something like that.
For practical effects for the play.
Yeah. That was very good. I enjoyed that a lot. I really liked the aesthetic, obviously.
Yeah.
Because obviously.
Obviously. How could you not?
I think it's really interesting how, if you watch a lot of Wes Anderson films, how his aesthetic becomes more refined over time.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at Grand Budapest Hotel, he's got it down by that point, hasn't he? He's got it down. That's probably my favourite one of his films, I would say, I think.
It's a very good film. I mean, all of his films are really good.
Yeah. So it's kind of like you're starting to see it here, but he hasn't sort of like solidified his brand as much, I would say, which is interesting.
Right. It's like when you first started hearing reverb on Revolver and you're like, ooh, the Beatles are going to do some really good stuff. I mean, they're already doing good stuff. Don't get me wrong. Love Me Do. Pretty good. Bottle Rocket. But, all of a sudden when they get to like Abbey Road, it's your Grand Budapest. Is that smart? That sounds kind of smart, right? You know how the Beatles' evolution through the 60s is a bit like Wes Anderson's evolution through the 90s in his films?
I'm constantly blown away by your intellect,
Thanks. I mean, it's not, it's no big deal. I am going to write some pretty amazing essays that might be read by the certain Academy for movies, if you know about.
Oh, the Academy?
Yeah. I don't want to brag, but Oscar himself has been reading my my essays. Yeah. He likes them. Yeah. Stunned. Totally stunned. His words.
Something that I think has kind of popped up a lot in lots of Wes Anderson films is this theme of basically like children in adults' clothing in one way or another.
Yeah.
So like either you're seeing characters that were children and are now adults, like in The Royal Tenenbaums, or you have characters who are behaving very childlikely or exploring their childhood or have a connection to children. Like, again, Grand Budapest, there's a main character who's like has an older figure who's he's having to be the mature one. And in this film, Max Fisher is like he's kind of an adult who looks like a kid and is a kid.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a really interesting idea, and I really like that.
Here's the thing. I've been thinking about Max Fisher, the like child who's a grown-up, who acts like a grown-up but he's a child kind of thing. And I have this sort of thought about, so I was thinking about how Max Fisher and Herman Bloom are actually not dissimilar, right?
Yes.
Both of them are people who are not appreciated or understood by the people around them.
Yep.
The difference is Max Fisher's trying desperately for people to like understand him, and Herman is like, I think maybe, this is my weird head theory. He's a much older version of Max Fisher, right? Is Herman Bloom supposed to be an older version of Max Fisher, but both of them share a commonality, which is neither of them are actually that mature or grown up, but both are trying to pretend to be something that they're not. What do you think of that theory?
I think that your theory there is somewhat supported in the scene where his dad cuts Mr. Bloom's hair, because what he has it like Herman, let's call him Herman, because Herman's character, Murray, he appreciates the kind of fatherly reassurance that Max has kind of been rejecting. So it's that sort of thing of like him showing him what he needs, I suppose.
No, I get it. There's a lot of layers, man. All wrapped in a vintage cardigan, expertly fitted and styled properly with a lapel pin.
And it's interesting because there's obviously a lot of children in this because it's set in a school.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, what's the purpose of like the presence of children in this?
Oh.
It feels like the children and Max are being used to represent the inner child of adults rather than being just children who are there in their own right.
Sure.
Particularly like some of the like the emotions that they experience, but also the fact that a lot of very adult crude stuff is being said and is being happening around them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like they're there to represent something, I feel like, which was a choice. And I think all of this could have been lovely. I mean, it was lovely. It was great. And the moments I love, like Dirk in his little wizard costume, that was wonderful.
That was great. Yeah.
And Max is a very appealing character, and when he introduces everyone at the party at the end, you really get him because he's like, he wants to be that guy. But all of it is challenged by this relationship with the teacher for me.
Yeah, because, hey, y'all. Hey, friends. Hello, grown-ups of the world. You can't, it's a bad,
it's not allowed.
It's not allowed morally or because of the law in most places. If you're a grown-up and you're thinking for even 1 second, I might be infatuated with a person who's not a grown-up, i.e. a child, you need to be in prison. And I'm not saying that like, hey, Rosemary, I get it. Your husband died. It was a year ago. It's sad. Here's this guy who acts like a grown-up and kind of gets you a bit and keeps wanting to build you an aquarium. And I get that. Listen.
I hope one day someone will want to build me an aquarium.
God willing, someone will build an aquarium for us all. An aquarii will fill the landscape and we'll return to a simpler time where water is our world.
Let's just take to the sea now. Like, let's just give up on this surface of the earth and just go down a notch. What do you think about that?
I think, listen, let's reverse Ariel this biatch and go back under the sea, if you know what I'm saying, right? Have you heard that it's better down where it's wetter? Because you can take it from me. Yep, exactly. Hey, what do they got? A lot of sand? Yeah. Do you know what we have? A much calmer place to live with better long-term health benefits. You should live under the Yeah, and do you I'm like, I mean, you're just living out there in the coral, and you're feeling that good vibe, and you're feeling that
Your best friend is a lobster.
totally. What's for lunch? Plankton, obviously, every day.
Yeah. Every day.
So if you lived underwater, would you prefer to have gills or be one of those mammal types that has to every so often go up to the surface? Discuss.
I would like to be a deep sea creature who lives like a massive, terrifying kind of like shark-based creature that lives right in the depths, in the inky depths of the world and never resurfaces. That's what I want to be.
Can I say that
How
that is one of the more terrifying things that I've heard in my adult life.
You ever watched a good deep sea documentary? Let me tell you, that is some quality content.
Hey man, if I ever meet, God willing, if I ever meet Sir David Attenborough, we've got a few things to talk about. First and foremost, I'm going to say you are a national treasure.
Yes, thank you for
you,
everything
sir, are a
you've done.
national treasure. Thank you for what you've done. You understand the earth in the way that very few, if probably nobody ever before you ever will, has or will again. You, my friend, you get it, right? The second thing I'll say to Dave, if you'll let me,
Mr. Attenborough.
Yeah. Is I'll
Sir
say,
Attenborough.
Sir. I'll say, sir. I'll say, hey, can we talk about the ocean? And I have to ask, I have this crazy friend, right? Who when asked what kind of undersea creature she'd like to be, and I was thinking, will she say dolphin or clownfish or seahorse? She went straight to gigantism and the inky depths of the deep ocean and terror and
Mariana Trench.
Exactly. And what I'll say is,
let me get down there.
Let me get down in the trench. Let's get down in the trench. And I'll say, Dave, do I need to run now from this relationship with my friend Emma? Because I am terrified.
No. Hear me out here, right?
Sure, I'm with you.
However, there's a factoid about the percentage of the world that hasn't been explored, right? I don't know. I can't remember what it is. It's like 40%.
Yeah, tons of it.
Loads of it in the sea. We don't know what's going on down there. We have no idea. Don't you want to know? I want to know. And also,
I'll let you go. I'll let you keep going with this.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Point number 2. No one's going to bother you down there.
Right.
Like, you're fine. You're potentially also probably an apex predator if you're like in the gigantic situation. Like, I'm a giant squid and I live in the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, sure.
Nobody's coming for me. I'm doing my own thing.
Yeah.
I don't care about basically anything because it's just dark and there's just more space. I'm just hanging out.
With what?
I'm just hanging
Doing
out.
What? With whom?
My best friend, myself. Just swimming about.
Until you encounter an even more gigantic squid that's even more terrifying than yourself, and it eats us all. Or what if in the depths there's some uncharted terrors that we don't even know about? I mean, I don't want to sound too much like Nemo's dad, but can't we just hang in the safety of the reef?
Oh my god, you are so Nemo's dad. If you were ever a character in anything, it's Nemo's dad. 100%.
All I'm saying is it looks comfortable there. They're swimming around. They've got friends. They've got fish school. They have food and sunshine and everything's great. Nobody ever said until today, where would you like to live? Oh, I'd like to live in the depths of flippin' terror nightmare zone where there's nothing and nobody and the only person to talk to is myself.
You know me, I'm just not like other girls.
No. Whilst I would love to stay under the sea with you forever, perhaps we should resurface for a sec and just keep talking about the movie Rushmore. Oh. I mean, we could carry on living this life aquatic, if you will.
Oh, there you go. That was the reference. That whole bit, during that whole bit, I was just waiting for you to pull us out with a reference. Hi there. I can't help but notice that you're listening to our podcast. I sure hope you're enjoying it. If you are, why not recommend it to a friend? You never know. They might love it and then forever be indebted to you for recommending them their favourite podcast. And everyone wants to be in that position. So send us to a friend today.
We're bringing the flight up to, now we're at cruising altitude.
No smoking on this flight.
But you will see that the seatbelt sign has been turned off, so you are free to roam around the cabin.
Mm-hmm.
But we may experience turbulence before the meal is served. By which I mean, shall we twist the plot of this movie?
I've had an idea.
Fantastic. Let's do your idea.
Okay. What? You're just gonna wait. You're not even gonna hear what it is. You're just gonna go for it.
No, and I'll tell you why. It's like you are a film person and you study movies, and when it comes to movies that it sounds like you and I both like a lot, I would default to your thought around twisting it because, it's like harder to twist a movie that doesn't suck, and so I want you to do this. I'm taking the coward's way out, okay? Whatever you want to do, it's fine. Let's do it. Your idea.
Such a pushover. Fine, okay.
No,
Right.
do you know what? No. We're going to do my idea, okay? I don't want to hear your idea, and I never want to hear any of your ideas again. Do you like that? Two extremes.
How do you like them apples? Well, I got a number.
Yeah, well, I got a number.
I got a number.
Yeah,
do you like those apples?
You like those apples? Also, I'm good at math, apparently, and I can do the math that nobody can do, and I'm good at mopping. Right?
Yeah, great.
Let's do your idea.
Okay, so what? No, what's your idea? No, you go.
All right, here's my idea.
Mine's gone.
No.
Mine's out the window.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
You're not going to like it, but
Okay.
my idea for the twist of the movie Rushmore is this.
Yes.
You know that thing where no, that
You're losing me very quickly here.
I got it. Okay, it's not a movie.
Pressure.
It's not a movie, but it's a
Right.
board game, and it's a board game like Chutes and Ladders meets Trivial Pursuit, but it's a vintage board game, and it's a Wes Anderson style, and you are Max Fisher, and you have to get to graduation or opening night of the play. One of those two things. That's my idea.
Did you say shoots and ladders?
Yeah.
Shoots and ladders.
Yeah, it's like ladders go up and shoots. You get into the chute and you go down.
That makes so much more sense than what it is in Britain.
Is it different in Britain?
Yeah, it's not the same.
Let me guess. Is it like flippity floops? Is it like
Do you genuinely not know this? You don't know what it is in Britain?
shoots and ladders? Shoots and ladders. Go up on the chute. You go up on the ladder. You go down on the chute. Shoots and ladders. It's not. There's not another.
It's a different thing in Britain.
Is it called?
I'm
Slippery
so
Whipply?
I'm so excited that you don't know what this is. No, you have to guess. What is it? What do you think it is?
Is this a joke? Is this a joke?
This is 100%. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. It is called. I didn't know that you called it shoots and ladders, but that makes more sense.
All right. I'll play your game. Slippery whatsits.
Think Think of a thing that's a slippery what's it?
What? Hang on. Is it that thing where like, when you're on a country lane and it's gotten quite muddy because of rain, but you're still gonna walk through it because you have your wellies on, right? And it's like a bit like ooh, gets a bit slippery up there, darling. Better hold on to the hedge because it's a bit mucky. But it'll be fine because we'll get to the National Trust property eventually. Is it a bit mucky country lane and ladders?
Not quite. Go back to slippery things.
Is it specifically British that's slippery?
It's not It's not even that British a thing. We have them in Britain, but it's not actually that British a thing. This is wild.
Slide? Is it a slide?
It's not
Is
a
it
slide. It doesn't begin with S though.
Slashy, slip, slang, sycamore tree, sycamore. Is it squids? Is it a squonk?
As much.
Is it a?
Oh,
Is it
you
a
say squids? Close, kind of.
Is it squids and ladders?
Think about the game, right? Think about how the game looks. You have the ladders that go up, and then you have, I assume, with the chutes, they kind of like wiggle, right? What's something that's slippery and wiggles?
Is it a snake?
Yeah, snakes and ladders.
Is this a? Is this some sort of a joke? Your game
No,
is
it's-
called Snakes and Ladders?
It's called Snakes and Ladders in
That is some
Britain.
British nonsense. Why would you slip down a snake? If the snake is that big, you would be eaten by that snake.
But this is what I'm saying. It makes so much more sense for it to be called Shoots and Ladders. Why is it a snake?
What the
I don't know.
I have to Google this. Hang on. Are you...
No, I'm sending you the link right now.
What
This
is
is
this?
a real thing.
It's called Snakes and Ladders. Your country is so dumb. Sorry, your country's great. It's great. That's why they call it Great
Great.
Britain. You know, America will be like, well, it's too scary. Snakes will eat. This is my reaction. The snake will eat my child. And I would say I don't want the snake to eat my kid, so I'll change it to something a little bit safer.
Oh, sorry. There might be a miscommunication here. When we play Snakes and Ladders in
They
Britain,
eat your children.
they're not real snakes.
I've been led to believe something different from what I've just Googled, which is a picture of a giant snake on a board.
Why are you googling that?
I listen, I'm an adult. I Google things, okay? And furthermore, sometimes the things I Google scare me more than I was expecting. That's one of them. I'm going to just add that to my list of nightmares and put it in my bedside table. So my idea was to make it a board game, and that board game involved no terror snakes, but definitely involved Max Fisher's journey to adulthood. Was that not what you wanted to go with? Did you want to go in a different direction?
Well, no, this is good because this will take up most of the time that we had for the twist, and my idea is quite short, so that's fine.
Okay. Whoa, good filler. Listen,
good filler. Well done.
I see our podcast very much as our own filibuster of our various plot points on our youth. So yeah, I'm filibustering my time away.
How long can we both push through our own personal awkwardness and continue talking?
Turns out longer than one would assume, and you know, and
Longer than we thought,
I'm here all night. So what's your idea? Let's do your idea.
So my idea. So this is a Wes Anderson film.
Yes, it is.
Wes Anderson has a very specific style, aesthetic, and
Yeah.
so on. We know this.
We do.
What if this film was directed by someone else?
Oh,
But
okay.
but it's kind
it's
of
the
basically the
same
same.
Okay.
But it's a different director. What do you think of that?
I love that. What would happen? What would happen if this movie wasn't directed by Wes Anderson? What if it was directed by Steven Spielberg?
Steven Spielberg. Okay. So, first of all, it's an encouraging and empowering story of a young boy who is defying his foes to overcome some kind of potentially quite magical trial and become a hero. It's a hero's journey.
It's a hero's journey. Max Fisher is the hero. Yes.
He's trying very hard to do really well at school, and it's just kind of nicer and like straighter. It's like more just
very
straightforward,
straight. Yeah.
right?
I think there's a
And
couple
John
of key
Williams
things that would have
soundtrack.
happened differently. Yeah, there's definitely a moving John Williams soundtrack.
Yep.
The movie starts probably with Max Fisher's mom dying, right? Let's be real for a second.
Yeah.
It
first
starts with his
scene,
mom dying.
That would sorry. That's also, if it's a Disney film, that's also what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
But just after.
Yeah.
Like
if it's
carry
a
on.
Steven Spielberg movie, we see but almost don't see when his mom dies, and that sets up the whole thing. If it's a Disney movie, she probably like falls off a ship, and they just sort of pan.
Do you know what?
Maybe
She's
she's
actually
just
probably
dead.
just not even there.
No, exactly.
She's not even there.
Yeah.
She's missing. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Like Belle's mom from Beauty and the Beast, not there, right? Where is
Not
she?
there.
She probably died. We're not talking about that. We're just talking about her eccentric father.
Disney doesn't like mums.
No, you ever seen Bambi? Nope. First one, shoot her off camera.
Yep. Bye.
Right?
Frozen. Drowned.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, you know, and the dad, they were trying to find the, you know,
Yeah, but
they were
still.
trying to find the river.
No, not again. Back. What were you saying? Steven Spielberg.
A glacier
Moving film.
is a river, frozen river. If it's a Steven Spielberg movie, I imagine that the romance between the teacher would be a joke at best and not part of the movie at all. The Bill Murray character in this movie for Steven Spielberg would have been like that character who guides the main character.
Yes.
Right?
Like a professor character, like bottle glasses, wispy hair, lots of cardigans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And in the end, he would have written a hit play, but also gotten his grades better. So the line
Yes.
would have been, you can pursue your dreams and your extracurriculars, but first you need to really buckle down and get better grades. And that's the
Yeah.
message of Rushmore, a Steven Spielberg production.
So I'm gonna go back to Bill Murray's character for a second.
Yeah.
And suddenly he's not a
Suddenly.
nerdy, friendly old professor character anymore. He's a
Yeah.
slightly creepy, dark figure who's very gaunt and thin,
Yes.
has very spidery
Yes.
fingers.
Is Johnny Depp in this movie?
Johnny Depp is playing him. The teacher is Helena Bonham Carter.
For
and
sure.
And Max Fisher is now a gaunt Victorian-looking child.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And now this film is directed by Tim Burton.
Yeah, and it would be so creepy, but also beautiful, right?
Yeah, moving, emotional.
The camera pans in with this sort of dark, twinkly music onto a snow-covered Rushmore Academy, and this pale-faced boy who does train bees, but by himself on the roof of the school during a lightning storm when no one else is around. And he's also trying to get better grades, but he maybe, I don't know, uncovers this key, and it's this dusty key that he finds in a songbook in the auditorium, and that key unlocks a crypt that's under the school. And under that school is this sort of like, he awakens a mummy, and that mummy is played by Bill Murray.
But I think you got something wrong there, because
Right.
Max Fisher is actually he's not a teenage boy. He's actually a teenage girl, and he's got dyed hair.
Yeah.
And he's into angry girl music, and he's very aggressive, and she's very feminist, and she's very she hates her mom, and this film is now directed by Greta Gerwig. And it's there's lots of hipster music, and everybody's mumbling the entire time.
Yeah. But I think what actually is, you got that completely wrong, because it's a bit goofy and making a lot of references to sort of current jokes and things, but it's quite like funny, and there's a lot of references to 80s video games and a lot of music that is comedy music, and it is in fact The Lonely Island. And this movie is called Rush Even More, Dog. The story of Max Fisher trying to find himself, yo.
See, that's interesting, because when I saw this film, I remember it differently, which is that it was black and white.
Yeah.
And the shots were all very lingering and oppressive. And the female character in it was a blonde woman who was very thin and elegant, and was the victim of some kind of terrible crime.
Right.
And Max Fisher was actually being chased around by a flock of birds all the time.
Whoa!
And it was a very suspenseful piece.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's that guy.
Hitchcock.
Yeah. Point is, this movie, directed by different people, could look very different, right? I get it.
Yes. The thing about it is that it's Wes.
Yeah. Because if you
There
take
you
Wes
go.
Anderson out of this movie, here's what you got. Two dudes who like this girl, and she shouldn't like either of them, right?
And also, he has lots of hobbies.
And also, he has lots of hobbies. No matter who directed it, Emma, the only people who can rate it are you and I. I would love to know,
Yes.
on a scale of 1 to 5 baby carrots, how many baby carrots would you give the 1998 movie Rushmore?
I am going to give this film 4 baby carrots. I think it's great. It is great.
Yeah.
But there's some problems with it. And once again, we have an inappropriate relationship that's framed as being romantic and sweet and lovely. And we kind of need to stop doing that, guys.
Yeah.
We kind of need to stop.
We need to
4
stop.
carrots.
Yep.
How about you?
The same. 4 out of 5 for the same reasons.
Nice.
Aesthetically appealing, super lovely. Love you, Wes Anderson. I will watch any number of Wilsons for any number of minutes, acting out any number of your movies. But it would be super nice, Wes, if in the future these films that you make, which are super quirky, and we love them, we love the color mustard, by the way, keep doing that. 15-year-old humans should not be in any way even insinuated to be in a relationship with adult humans, right? That's just, you got to stop that, right? So 4 out of 5 for that reason. And that's all I got to say about that. Hey, Emma, what's the secret?
The secret?
Yeah, like you seem to have it pretty figured out.
The secret? I don't know. I guess you've just got to find something you love to do and then do it for the rest of your life. For me, it's making this podcast.
Me too. Well, thanks for listening to this episode of Plot Twisters.
Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts.
We'll see you next time.
Bye!
Bye.